Now I can't help but say this was God again. Spirit speaks to me in many ways. He uses nature. We know that animals are more open to the messages from God. Just look to the Bible. Why can a donkey see an angel when a man cannot? Because they have no carnal mind. Why would a bird know to fly and catch that right in front of me? Because they have no carnal mind. In an angel, an angle of light with a photon within it can enter into its eyes and direct it and suggest that it does so to bring me that which I need. And in gratitude I give thanks to that being who lost its life, and give thanks to that being who came to show me this message. Because I'm under no doubt that whatever was in me needed to go into something else. And unfortunately that host was upon the roof of my house, and an angel of God that was directing the body and the flight of that bird came and rid us of the energy forever.
Great Spirit, I have had it. Bring me back to the nomadic way of weaving through the damage. Mindful, stay mindful. Great Spirit for my sister.
Hey guys, good morning. Thought I better talk about this spiritual attack that I went through, or that which I perceived to be. It was a spiritual attack, whether you believe it or not. It was. Energetic attack. I want to talk about the importance of being open to where your support and help can come from. And I also want to talk about the workings of such a thing in my life, and also share with you a story I've never shared to show you what goes on here. Now, if you don't believe in demonic forces or negative energies that can attack people, then I say that you just haven't lived in service. Those energies will target you. They will target people who are seeking God. They will target people who do God's work. They will target you in whichever way that is, even if you're just spreading love at home or acting however it is as a good parent. But if you spend most of your time indulging in the things that energy wants you to indulge in, such as the false light reality of the digital media and the mainstream media and the mindless entertainment and the alcohol and so on and so forth, then you're participating in its world and feeding it anyway, so it has no reason to show itself to you if you can't even see it in that world as it is. Now, when I came here, I was very certain that angels existed, and my mind made it that angels, as I've said many times, are photons travelling on angles of light. I found a scientific explanation for a messenger of light in the description of a photon. I followed an angel here as far as I could see. I followed the number synchronicity. But strangely, for all I knew that these angels were there, I abandoned the concept of there being a negative side of it. But there are good angles and bad angles. And as God said, let there be light, he had no option but to say, let there be shadow. And it is that shadow which can infect us and attack us and try to drag us down. As I said in my other video, I was in an area which was, as far as I'm concerned, 2 days in a row, I was in a space where it was demonically possessed. You can use the word demonic if that language is too old school and romantic for you. Let's put it this way. I've been around people in my life where I see the bad things they have done, if they have done enough of them. Because their energy has a storage system around them, a memory system, and the more repetitive bad things you do, the more that energy field fills with them. And those of us who are sensitive to other person's energies pick up on it and might get images or sounds or so on and so forth, or just a feeling to let us know intuitively, this person is like this, be careful, or this person is like this, trust them. It works in both directions. I have had that, so I understand we have this energy field around us. And because I understand we have this energy field around us, then I begin to understand the concept of these dark energies. Because the longer we participate in those negative behaviors, the larger our energy field grows with those inside. And those negative energies that are all around us eventually can envelop that energy field and take it as their own. And where I was in this place, at the bottom of this valley, there was a tremendously strong dark energy which had a grip on everybody there. And I could see it. Their smiles were false and fake. Their skin was sweating. Their eyes were yellow. They were just lost, completely lost in alcohol and all of the debaucherous immorality that comes with it. Children were being neglected. Pregnant mothers were killing their own children with alcohol by just drinking while they're in the womb. Completely severed from all things that we call normal and human. And whilst there, I challenged whatever it was behind this, and the day before that, I challenged whatever it was that had happened to this child that had had his body sliced in many different places all over the front and the back. Perhaps 100 times. A witch doctor had cut his body with a knife to make him bleed. And I challenged it. And I wasn't ready for the fight that ensued. Now, things can get into the best of us. If you're weak, if you're tired, if you haven't put your armour on, if you haven't gone into something with enough fasting and prayer to cleanse yourself, you're exposed. There are chinks in your armour. And this is what happened to myself. And God pulled out all stops to protect me and to remove this from me. By the end of yesterday, let me tell you, whilst this was going on and I'd been vomiting blood and my hands were contorted and I was in agony and I felt like I thought I might even have a brain hemorrhage from the pain in my head. I couldn't understand this pain I was feeling. It was horrible. Never felt a pain in my head like it, ever as severe as this. I got a feeling to speak to a friend of ours, a very powerful Christian lady. And this lady, before when I've had energetic problems, has helped me here. We reached out to her, and at the same time a man of God who we know, a good man in the community, a pastor, came as well, because everything in me was telling me this was a spiritual event. Last time I vomited blood was when we had dealings with a witch doctor. 2 hours later it began. Up close dealings that interacted with us, like text messages, etc. This was the same again. So I've only vomited blood twice in my life. Both times witch doctors were around the day before it happened. I began to feel a sense of something I never feel and haven't felt for a decade or something like this. Well, not quite, probably 7 years. A feeling of anxiety. When I'm sick, I don't get scared. I'm not fearful of being ill. I'm not fearful of dying. I don't get it. I don't get fear and anxiety. I'm a man who has a great deal of control over his emotions. But a feeling of darkness and emptiness and anxiety and a separation from the comfort I have in my union with God overwhelmed me. And I said, this is not sickness, this is spiritual. I can see it, I can feel it. It's not sickness. And I told Fritzi, something's not right. It's not just an illness. A friend of ours came to pray, a local pastor. On top of that, it was a very powerful thing for me. I'm laid in my bed, I couldn't move my hands, and my head was in agony, high fever, vomiting. And our friend came in to pray, the pastor. At the same time, all of my staff dropped and down tools and were outside praying. Now, in this culture, you pray quite loud, so I could hear them. 75 people. It brought a great deal of comfort to me after I came to, because it shows me how loved I am. And it's always nice to have a reminder of how loved you are. People were crying and worrying because they see me as, and I'm not being spiritually egoic, they see me as the strong one in God. I'm the one who prays for people, I'm not the one who's prayed for. So it upset people that I was down for the first time in 5 years, to the degree where people were coming to pray for me. My friend who we contacted began to fast and pray. Now, I want to tell you a story shortly about something that went on with this wonderful lady. And because the same thing happened again yesterday. And then she was told by God that to tell me I should contact my shaman who married me. So I contacted my shaman, and by proxy she did an extraction ceremony. And during that ceremony I had a visitation from angelic beings, and I saw them. I saw them with clear as day, and I saw them shielding me with... It's not something I've seen before, but I saw them shielding me with blue energy. I've never seen it, but I saw it. It happened. It happened. I also, at the same time, while I was ill, Fritzi and I, our friends who are Jain and Hindi, they are married, a Jain and a Hindu man and a Jain woman, Remy and Digvijay, they contacted Fritzi and said, how are you both doing? And Fritzi said, John is not good, he's under some sort of energetic attack. And they contacted a very powerful pranic healer from India immediately, who took my photo and started work on me. So God called in everything, because whatever this was strong, guys. It was strong. I can tackle things energetically. This thing was strong. I just can only say that. It crippled me immediately. I was just down and out for the count. And I felt complete darkness. I was in the shadow. I was in the shadow. So in the space of a matter of hours, God had called in a devout Christian, 75 people plus the churches, so hundreds of people in the community were praying because the pastor put the word out. And a pranic healer from India and a shaman from South America. All to work on taking this out of me. Whatever I had taken from these children and this area as I challenged it, and I put it into myself by accident. Now there's a time in the Bible, for those of you who don't know, they cast out demons and put them into pigs, and I'm sorry for those pigs, because pigs are very intelligent and loving animals. But it shows that sometimes an entity, an energy, needs to go to a host or be destroyed, and I don't know how to destroy them. So to a host it needed to go to be destroyed. And I guess it came to me because I made a mistake in challenging something that I thought I would overcome. Now, I will say something. My first error in all of this was when I met the child who had been sliced by the witch doctor. I got a slight feeling that something was going to happen because of what happened last time. And when you give any focus to fear, you open a doorway in your reality for evil. Give no focus to evil in your life if you can. Evil has no space, and giving fear to evil gives it energy. And I never do. But my first mistake is probably that, and that's the important, probably most important part of this video, is I created a doubt in my faith when I met that first child. Now if I did not, perhaps this energy was just so powerful that I was warned that there was something to it. Because you must respect evil. Look at what it does on the planet. It has power. Not always, and God is immeasurably more powerful. But if we are weak, then we can be exposed to it, because these entities, this energy roams this land, and it wants to enter into as many as it can and destroy. And I see it here more clearly than I ever have here in East Africa. So in this day, shaman South America, pranic healer from India, Christian, devout Christian lady who's done a healing ceremony on me before, and I'll speak about that now. The Maasai was so worried because, again, they see me as the man of God here. They see me that way, so they called back to their village and did their own ceremony, including a mixture of their church and their traditional ways. And the tribe leader from the tribe who works here, and the children are here, called a pastor in Kenya who dedicates himself to this work as well. And by the evening time I had my visitation from that which was good, and that which was beautiful, and that which was healing, and that which was protective. And I saw visually during a shamanic ceremony by proxy, I used shamanic drumming, and I entered into a trance state, and I saw exactly what was going on, and who was being healed, and what was being extracted from the area that it came with me from this place. Now, what I want to say is, and it's a story I've never shared. 3 or 4 months ago, my friend who I speak of, a very powerful Christian lady, she's an elderly lady now, English, but she's lived here 20 years, and as far as I'm concerned, she's a living saint. She's devoted her life to God, completely. Powerful, powerful lady. She called me and said, God has asked me to lay my hands on you. And Fritzi and I said, okay. She said, but I must fast for 4 days first, and then you will come at this time. I said, okay. So I arrived, and I've never seen her like that. She was in a trance state. It's a state I've seen myself in after various different practices, but she was in that state from her fasting and praying. She laid her hands on my stomach. I was having a lot of health problems, and presumably I hadn't realised it was an energetic thing. I'd again challenged something on my children, challenged something attached to them, and brought it to myself instead of putting it away from me. Even yesterday, my shaman made it very clear during the extraction, keep everyone away from you, all children, etc., away from you while I do this, so we can get rid of it. It doesn't move on to something else. She laid her hands on me and she warned me she would get tired afterwards, but the reverse happened. I got very tired afterwards. I started yawning a great deal. My body heated up tremendously, and I was overwhelmed with emotion. The heat from her hands was something you would deem supernatural, beyond what we know normal. Perhaps you would say the Chi masters can do it in Tai Chi, etc. But there was a tremendous heat from her hands. Afterwards, we sat in her living room, and she had a pet chicken at the time. It was just a little baby, but it was a very affectionate and loving creature, filled with light, would sit on her shoulder, would always want affection and cuddle her. Wonderful little thing. To our disbelief, in the middle of the floor between us all, this baby chicken was fighting a small black snake, this big. And it killed the snake in front of all of us, and my wife and I and my dear friend just sat in utter disbelief. And this snake was killed in front of us. Black snake. And I said, well, that's uncanny. And it pulled this black snake out from the skirting board of the living room where we were. I've just noticed it's dark and you won't be able to see me. I don't know how long it's been like that. I'm sorry. This black snake, it pulled from the skirting board. It was hidden inside the house. So I was under the belief that whatever was pulled out of me was put into that being and then destroyed. Now, I believe that there are forms of life on this planet that have a heart and forms of life that don't. And I have had too many very strange encounters with things like scorpions and snakes during times of spiritual turmoil. I've liberated a child from the most horrendous suffering. May he rest in peace, because he died this year. But he was tied up in a room for many years by himself, suffering, and when I took him out a few hours later, Africa's deadliest snake nearly bit me. I don't believe in coincidences to such magnitude, of course. I just can't anymore. And I've had other things as well. Countless things with things like this. Yesterday, I know God speaks to me in many ways, and on the afternoon I was laid in my bed and I was trying to recover, and somebody sent me a link, just a link, no message, just a link to the song Now We Are Free from the movie Gladiator. Now, if you don't know, the lyrics to that song actually translate into English that the healing is, you can take healing for free from the sun in the sky, it's God's healing and it's free. And I was laid inside, and I took it as a sign God wants me outside in the sun, the strongest of all his light around here. I said, let me do that then. Let me make my way outside. So I received this video and I took it as a sign, because I know how to act upon these intuitive feelings. I know how to ensure that I am obedient to messages and don't dismiss things as coincidence. As I moved outside, a member of my staff appeared called Nema, and Nema's a very spiritual girl as well. On the morning, she told everyone before everything came to light, she said, "John's being bewitched." And they all said, "You're wrong, he hasn't. This hasn't happened." And then a few hours later, everybody was under pretty much certainty I'd been bewitched. Nema and I sat here talking, and to my disbelief, an enormous bird, which I've never seen before around here, never seen a bird like it. I'll have to have a look and see what it was. An enormous bird came flying down here and grabbed a carnivorous lizard from the roof of my house, threw it on the floor in front of me, and violently killed it, and then flew off with its corpse. Right there. Now I can't help but say this was God again. Spirit speaks to me in many ways. He uses nature. We know that animals are more open to the messages from God. Just look to the Bible. Why can a donkey see an angel when a man cannot? Because they have no carnal mind. Why would a bird know to fly and catch that right in front of me? Because they have no carnal mind. In an angel, an angle of light with a photon within it can enter into its eyes and direct it and suggest that it does so to bring me that which I need. And in gratitude I give thanks to that being who lost its life, and give thanks to that being who came to show me this message. Because I'm under no doubt that whatever was in me needed to go into something else. And unfortunately that host was upon the roof of my house, and an angel of God that was directing the body and the flight of that bird came and rid us of the energy forever. Now, if those of you who are skeptical out there, please tell me, I've never seen birds kill snakes and lizards right at my feet. But 2 times after extraction ceremonies, I've seen it. Please tell me the mathematical possibility of that, and then you'll come to the understanding that the only option left is that everything you ever heard about God, angels and demons is true. Just the language of this modern day time has changed, and we can start calling it energy fields and consciousness, photons and angles of light and bad angles of light and shadow and light. Or you can say angels, demons, spirits. They are afoot and they are among us. And that's my world. That's how I am helped by nature, guided by spirit. And God uses all means possible to talk to me, to heal me, to help me, to do what I do here. Feeling strong today? The beginning of the winter solstice, so I'm going to record another video just now. But thought I'd better update you all on what happened. Very profound. Perhaps the most profound thing for me and moving thing was my visitation from these beings of blue, just blue light. Never seen it before. I used to think when people said this stuff it was a bit wishy-washy actually. For all I've had everything going on, I have such a faith and belief and knowing of God and his angels. I've never seen them. Didn't see them with my physical eyes. As I say, I was inside shamanic drumming, and then it began. I'm not quite sure who they were. I presume it's those who have helped me all along, who just showed themselves visually, or perhaps some grand reinforcements were called in.